Hi everyone, I'm Kate Castleberry, and today I'm going to be talking about the Vox political party in Spain, and how their political platform is tied to Spain's historical identity and foundational mythology. I am going to be going through the Vox Party's 100 Medidas para España Viva, or the 100 Measures for Living Spain. This is their platform. It's accessible on their website if you just look up 100 Medidas para España Viva. This platform encompasses many different sectors of their policy. It includes Spanish unity, electoral law, immigration, security, the economy, health, education and culture, family life, justice, and international policy, and done in a 100-point system. The Vox Party is a self-proclaimed far-right political party that boasts an anti-immigration, anti-feminist, and nationalist policy. After the regime of Francisco Franco, it seemed as though Spain would never again allow an ultra-conservative party like Vox to infiltrate the government. However, due to the traction that the Vox Party has received since its inception in 2013, it is clear that there could be a space for the far right in Spanish politics at the moment. In this project, I will be talking about the stances of the Vox Party on 4 major issues that we've discussed in our class: nationalism, immigration, women's rights, and the regional separatist movements. And I'll be making parallels between them and the foundational myths of Spain and some of the key facets of Spanish identity. To begin, the first section of the platform is named España, Unidad y Soberanía. Vox presents this party as having a Spain-first mentality, and they prioritize nationalism and unity through these following points. Point 2 starts off by saying that any groups associated with limiting or disrupting Spanish unity or nationalism will be disbanded. So this can be seen as any outside terrorist group or any internal terrorist group as well, or any separatist group. So this point is normally applied for the Vox Party in the context of the ETA, which is the Basque terrorist group, which the Vox Party is known to stand avidly against. However, it can also be taken in the context of any separatist group. Point 1, in fact, outright said that there would be a suspension of the Catalan separatist movement until their push for autonomy is completely defeated, mainly being against the coups that Vox is claiming have been incited. Spanish nationalism versus the Spanish regionalism is one of the most highly contested issues in Spain, and it runs deep throughout its history. We saw this in our readings like Ortega y Gasset, where they claimed that there still must be a level of autonomy throughout Spain's various sectors in order to make it a true functioning amalgamation. However, nationalist groups truly find power in unification and homogeneity. So in order for a party like Vox that is conservative and very nationalist to gain the power they need to carry out their platform, many levels of regionalism must be suppressed, and this is seen in their campaign in many facets. This push for nationalism, however, extends past these separatist movements and is shown in points 3 and 4. The platform also promotes the protection of national symbols, such as the crown, the anthem, and the flag, and also promotes Spanish as a national language, especially over any other influencing language, such as Arabic. While all of these ideas play into the concept of Spanish nationalism that we've studied, Point 8 highlights a very hotly contested view of the parties. Translated, Point 8 calls for an integral plan for the knowledge, dissemination, and protection of the national identity, and of Spain's contribution to civilization and universal history, with special attention to the heroic deeds and feats of national heroes. So this highlights the party's main source of rhetoric, the Spanish national mythology, very clearly. The party is choosing to pull on the conservative vote in a similar way to Franco and other Spanish leaders through this appeal to the golden age of Spain. One example of this outside of their platform is when the Vox Party leader, at the moment Santiago Abascal, chose to promote and campaign the Vox Party at the Cave of Covadonga. And we know from our time studying the Cave of Covadonga that this has a very nationalist tendency, and by choosing this location, the party to some level hoped to adhere to this myth of Don Pelayo and the ideas of the Reconquest through this national site. And it really ties into this level of unity and conservatism that you see in Spain. And on top of that, Vox Party leaders are even seen using phrases like "make Spain great again" as a reference to both the Donald Trump campaign in the United States, but also referring to a return to this golden age of Spain. And while many people see it as the return to the golden age of Spain, it's also contested if that, to some level, means a return to the Franco regime age. In alliance with the conservative values. The campaigning at the Cave of Covadonga will come as no surprise when coupled with the party's policy on immigration. The Zapata Barrero article we studied coined the term Morophobic or Morophobia, meaning a fear of the Moors. The party's stance on immigration displays this fear very openly and very clearly. Some of the policies include quotas of origin that focus on the prioritization of nationalities that speak Spanish or have good relations with Spain. In this effect, countries like Morocco would not be included in this prioritization, even though, or many Islamic countries or countries that have Islam as a main facet would not be included in this prioritization, despite their immense cultural influence in Spain. Additionally, the party will work to remove or stop the building of mosques that come from any fundamentalist sect of Islam completely, and any teaching of Islam will be banned in schools. And to further draw another parallel between the Vox Party and the Trump campaign in the United States, there was a claim to build walls in Ceuta and Melilla in order to prevent Moroccan immigration into Spain. So it is clear that that this platform centers around an intense fear of Islam and this Moorish figure, and these ideas work quite well with this return to the golden age that they are playing into, and the idea that there is a predetermined figure that should be in rule of Spain, and that is not the Moorish figure. Another issue that the Vox Party is quite adamant on, and that leans quite conservative on, is women's rights. In studying the Franco regime, especially through the Shirley Mangini reading, there can actually be a lot of ties made between the two groups' stances, and also just very conservative ideas of women's roles in society. Both are anti-feminist movements. Both defend life from conception, which is the pro-life stance on abortion, and both promote large families and higher birth rates. Women's rights are an issue that Spain can tend to lean more conservative on. However, we've seen in recent news that there has been a push for more laws advocating against gender-based violence or domestic violence, which has been a very prominent issue in Spain, especially because of, at times, the misogynistic and sexist undertones of the society and the conservative pole. Domestic abuse is affecting women at increasing rates, and despite much fight against it, not much change is being seen. The Vox Party, in their plan, strongly advocates against any policies about gender-based violence, because they believe that it promotes an unequal treatment of the sexes. So they advocate that any policy on abuse or violence should be the same for the elderly, men, women, and children. So there is a sort of dismissal of this movement in Spain among the party. And that is further exemplified in some of their propaganda that they use. My last point being this picture. So this shows the image of a building in Madrid with a Vox poster on it with the statement, "You decide what is important." And so we see the Vox fist throwing certain symbols into the trash. So the symbols that I pointed out of being important, all of them are important obviously, but is the feminist icon. So this is the purple fist with a circle around it, the LGBTQ flag, the Agenda 2030 symbol, and the Agenda 2030 is a policy that has many different facets, but the main one being the prevention of climate change and policies that help to combat climate change, and also a Catalan flag. So here we see kind of a lot of those return it to very conservative values being promoted and pulling on these very dramatic stance and very, very conservative values in Madrid that many people fear are not being represented in Spanish government at the moment. So the platform that Vox has presented in this document works to provoke this national sentiment and play on all of those conservative values that are embedded in Spain's history. And while many believed that rhetoric of this kind has been left in the past with the Franco regime, it is clear that some Spaniards still hold such sentiments, and the Vox Party is a claim to that. The popularity of the party has fluctuated in the past couple years. It did reach its peak around 2019 and lessened in popularity as of recent elections. Previously, when it was coupled with the Popular Party, it did gain greater traction. However, when they split, due to some differences in policies, the party did lose some popularity. So it will be interesting to see how the party develops over time and how much power these foundational myths and claim to Spanish identity how much power those have over Spaniards still, and if the party will gain traction because of it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you learned something new.